Peterson is now being resentenced for his crimes in a procedural hearing where the only possible punishment is life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Okay, still with us in Phoenix, Arizona, a former criminal defense attorney who represented Jodi Arias, Kirk Nurmi, joining us again. So looking at what these attorneys for Peterson are really focusing in on, juror number 7, Rochelle Neese, Strawberry Shortcake, how likely is it that he would actually get a new trial?
I don't know. It's hard to say how likely it is, but certainly this is a viable issue, Joy. I'll put it in those terms, because we're talking about jury selection. We're talking about fundamental Sixth Amendment rights. No matter what anybody thinks about Scott Peterson as a person or his guilt or innocence, those rights are sacrosanct. And that's what this court is going to have to grapple with in terms of the jury selection in this case. And one of the reasons we saw, Joy, that the sentence was overturned is because of improper jury selection in a death penalty case. And a death penalty case comes with that heightened scrutiny on jury selection. That's why I think this argument really does become viable, because the attorneys are making their selections based on death penalty criteria. And while Ms. Neese, through her testimony, said, well, I didn't really lie, I just didn't see it that way. She's certainly seen it differently than the way most people would. So I think there's a good chance, anyway, that the court's definitely going to have to give serious consideration to this, because ultimately then it will go up to the Court of Appeals and probably the California Supreme Court, because this issue is so important, particularly when we're talking about death penalty jury selection.
Yeah, interesting points and really valid points. You know, another attorney that we've had on our air for analysis on this case is Michael Cardozo, who's been following the case closely, and his concern really has to do not so much with the substantive issue, but about the perception if Scott Peterson does get a new trial. Let's go ahead and listen to a clip of him expressing that.
You've got a judge. She's a judge that sits in the San Francisco courts, but is sitting on assignment in San Mateo courts. You think she's going to be the one that's going to reverse this and give Scott Peterson a new trial? You know, even though people say, you know, judges are impartial, they're not affected by that, I've got to think, yeah, they are. Come on. They're going to be affected by this. So it's going to affect the results in this case. If I had to bet, no, he's not going to get a new trial.
I mean, how valid is that concern about the judges being biased?
Well, he may be right, but I'd like to hear Mr. Cardozo's making this argument. The only thing I heard in that argument was that she was from a different county. So why was that lead to bias? I don't necessarily know that I follow the logic there, that leap of faith. The defense attorneys certainly have advanced no reason to believe that this judge is biased. They put the evidence on in front of her. So, you know, if he doesn't get a new trial, again, this judge will not be the final word. I think it will go at least up to the California Supreme Court. But there's no indication to me or that's been advanced by the defense that this judge is somehow biased and incapable of rendering a fair decision.
Okay, yeah. And, you know, Peterson's family has really stood by him, and they are really doing everything they can to get him a new trial. In fact, here on Court TV, my colleague Ted Rowland spoke to his sister-in-law, Janie Peterson, who's married to his older brother. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Well, every single juror in a criminal case makes a difference, because you need a unanimous verdict, especially in a capital case. So absolutely, she was a force. Every one of those 12 jurors was a force and needed to be truthful on their questionnaire and needed to be impartial.
So in order to get a new trial with these allegations of juror misconduct, what does the defense really need to show?
Well, they're going to need to show that she wasn't a fair and biased jury, and or that she would have been struck for cause had her full story came out, right? So that's really, it's just that basic to that fundamental fairness, those preemptory strikes that each side is given because they want to strike someone who they feel is biased. There could have been even reason for a valid challenge for cause. Perhaps the transcripts will reflect the court during jury selection. Excuse people that were not, that held such viewpoints. And that would be a strong point for the defense. If the court routinely said someone was a victim of domestic violence, or something of that nature and dismiss that juror, and the defense is able to show, well, look, this was a pattern in the jury selection, but Miss Neese wasn't forthcoming, truthful, whatever verbiage they want to use, then she would have been automatically dismissed. And to me, that would be a big factor in favor of Mr. Peterson getting a new trial, or at least being able to evaluate that and say that the entire trial wasn't fair, because as we heard, there, one juror with a bias means the entire jury is tainted, and so is the entire trial.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kirk Normey, for that analysis. Still ahead, we're following the latest developments in the Doomsday Couple murder.